I record, I press R on the computer, and then it starts the microphone recording.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! What is
like
that?
I'll ever need that!
I don't understand why you're
What is up, Watch fam? I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris Watch Shop.
I am Young Mikey. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Do you need a website or domain?
At the moment, for me, not exactly, but you do, and
Yes.
you want to check out Squarespace. We'll learn more about them later.
Yes.
Today we're talking about the most iconic watches of 2022.
We're reacting to it.
Yeah, reacting to
Yes.
them. I feel like if you fell asleep last year and then woke up this year, you're like, if you saw the news, you'd be like, wait, what? They did what?
These watches came out in this new material that you've never heard of. This watch came out and it's massive and
$19,000. So obviously we usually do end with just a major kind of conversation about Rolex. But this is not a Rolex video that will come at the end. But there's a lot of watches I want to discuss. Until then, do you like what I'm wearing today?
Yeah, why?
First, I look like I'm in Yellowstone. I look like I'm John Dutton, and I'm wearing all Huckberry today.
Huckberry. People that watch the Iron Snail probably like...
I know. I'm a huge Huckberry fan now. This cotton jacket is literally unbelievable.
In all fairness, you were before. You kept asking me if I had a coupon code.
Exactly. But now I'm literally in love with them. This is their Flint and Tinder brand. I'm obsessed with this jacket. It looks incredibly good with my dark blue jeans. And then I've got a double RL pullover that I also threw on from Huckberry. So super cool. I'm obsessed with Huckberry now.
And also, link for both of these pieces is in the description, so check that out immediately.
Now that I look better than you in this video, you're like, I'm also wearing Huckberry, so you can't look better.
I love Huckberry too. The Moonswatch.
Yes.
This was and we'll keep everything very brief. You know what the Moonswatch is. If this was the hottest topic in watches that I've ever seen. If we posted a video about the Moonswatch, at least 50,000 views. Most of them got 100,000.
Yeah, bizarre.
It was insane.
Insane. The lines in New York City were remarkable. Someone actually got stabbed at one of them, which is, I mean, that's very New York City these days.
Yes, well, someone got said it's coincidental. What's this line of people hits the guy?
So a crazy release, all these different watches and all these different colors. The most interesting part about it, well, there are a couple interesting takeaways. One, the release of these highly sought after, non-limited edition Swatch Omega Moon watches that were released in plastic, even though they called it bioceramic, they actually did lead to an increase in Omega Speedmaster sales.
Really?
Yeah, yes, they did. So on a PR level, it's a huge success, but even on a direct retail level, these watches worked. They put the Moonwatch everywhere. Yep.
Wow.
I think it really hyped everybody up to go out and buy a Moonwatch. I also think it's fantastic timing because Omega has only recently remodeled all their Moon watches.
The bracelets and
their
everything?
bracelets, their cases, their dials ever so slightly. So I think it was fantastic timing. I do think it was brilliant by Omega. I do not think it cheapened their brand because no one thinks that the guy wearing a Moonswatch is wearing a Moonwatch.
It's true. It's red and blue and pink and whatever.
Great, really fun watches. Every time I've seen one, I've asked to try it on.
Wow.
Yep.
Glowing review.
Glowing review.
Still, are you getting one?
I'm not gonna get one.
Yeah, that's saying.
I just don't.
Please release this plastic textures in an actual nice material.
Like ceramic?
Yes.
Like you would buy like a yellow ceramic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Why wouldn't you?
insane.
That would be nuts.
Totally.
But I don't even know what they price it. $15,000. I'd still buy it.
You'd still buy it, yeah. I'm interested to see. Again, this is a 30,000 foot, flyover overview. I'm interested to see how Swatch will replicate this model with their other brands.
Because it worked in every facet. Every part of it worked.
Every way
if you look around, everything worked.
Yes. So will Swatch, as a watch company, do this with the other Swatch Group brands? Remember, Swatch Group owns, Breguet. They own Blancpain. They own...
Our next video is about
Blancpain Original. They own a lot of different brands.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. Will we be seeing a bioceramic 50 Fathoms soon?
We'll get into that in the next video. I hope so.
I hope so.
I hate what Blancpain doesn't release.
Yes. Agreed. So that was the Moonswatch.
Grand Seiko Kodo.
Lead me on this.
This is Grand Seiko's big unit on the table to say, look what we can do. It's an incredibly aggressive, incredibly cool looking watch. This is their Constant Force Tourbillon, which is, what is it, 2 tourbillons? That basically, so usually when a watch loses power, it starts to drop in accuracy. This doesn't. It is just constant the entire time. This is the big move. You voted for this watch I think,
I voted for this watch for like best watch or whatever of
Grand Prix
Derology. I'm a huge fan of this watch. I think that when Grand Seiko released it as a concept movement 2 years ago, I think it was, it was brilliant from a technical level. And then now, 2 years later, they've released it in a watch. Not only did they improve the design of it, and I think they did, but of the movement itself, but they also just integrated it into a case flawlessly.
Which, mind you, when the movement came out, everybody was like, great, you made a movement. This is impossible to case. You'll never case it. And then, or people thought, after X amount of years, you'll be able to case it. It won't look good. And then Grand Seiko came, I think, a year later, 2 years later, and cased it, which on a very watch nerdy level is insane. That is a technical feat of engineering.
And in a brilliant case. I mean, the case is perfect. It speaks in the same design language as the movement and the dial. I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
They did a great job. I actually saw this watch, and we both saw this watch.
Yes, we did.
At the Grand Seiko event in New York City a couple of months ago. It was phenomenal.
It is phenomenal. Every detail of it's considered. I believe it's also at deadbeat seconds, and it ticks around where the tourbillon is.
Wild.
This also, notable of this is that, one, I think this completely is Grand Seiko saying, yes, we work with nature all the time, but we can also make an incredibly aggressive, mechanical, technical, modern-looking watch.
Totally.
I think they did a great job. And obviously, the band is very cool. I don't remember all the details about it, but it's coated in a Japanese tree sap to keep it water resistant.
Wow.
Cool, right?
Wow, that is cool.
Next up, I don't actually know. Do you know about the Hamilton Murph?
I've been trying to think to myself like a joke about Japanese tree sap. You know what I mean?
It's really just there.
Yeah. Like the Tokyo prom is covered in Japanese tree sap after 11. It's just stupid like that.
Oh, God.
Anyway, Hamilton Murph.
Yeah, take it from here, buddy.
All right, next watch. After the Murph, Seiko. Next watch.
You don't want the Murph?
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, very brief. Do you know about the Murph?
No.
That is the watch that was born from Interstellar.
I never saw it.
You didn't see Interstellar?
I didn't see it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So
I'm a space guy.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding. I am. Matthew McConaughey was in that?
Yeah.
I would watch that.
Wow. You'd really like it.
I'm sure.
Did you like?
Doesn't he cry? He's like a very famous crying scene where he's like watching old him.
Yes. Yeah. Do you know why?
No, I
can't
no
tell
idea.
you. Did you see?
Should I see it?
Yeah. Wait. Well, did you like? What is that one?
Gravity?
No.
Didn't see it.
It's not space related. It's a Nolan film. The Dream one.
Oh yeah, Inception.
Yes. Did you see
I
that?
love Inception.
This is Inception, but space instead of dreams. It's space.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you'd love it. But anyways, Matthew McConaughey wears this Hamilton Murph that did not exist, and then everybody was basically being like, Hamilton, why doesn't this watch exist?
Weird.
So they made it in 42 to start. To which everybody's response was,
why 42?
Why 42?
Yeah.
So very long after, they released one in 38.
Yeah.
And now it's a nice looking watch. It's a Hamilton. It's really just a different dial from the khaki line.
I'm just as likely to believe that Matthew McConaughey wears a Hamilton as I am that David Beckham wears a Tudor, by the way.
Oh, there's no way.
There's no way.
You know, Hamilton was probably like, we're gifting you this watch. And he was like, I'll just buy one. They're like, oh, it's not real. What do you mean it's not real? It's right here.
Yeah, it's right here.
End of discussion. Yeah, so anyway, it's notable because Hamilton's a big brand, and they actually listened to a watch that they made for a film and made it real life. And then even listened to that length was like, no, this has to actually be correct. Yeah. Sorry, the reason I got kind of brain dead at the end of that was because you were getting a call from a big client, and I could see the contact name, and I know you didn't see it.
And
yet.
I didn't see it.
It's like the Hamilton Murph is a nice one.
The Hamilton Murph. Okay, so yeah, I mean that's all you have to say about the watch. I mean, and by the way, my like kind of like that opinion on or vibe toward Hamilton is not particularly about this watch. I like.
I'm just rich.
No.
Okay.
I like Hamilton. I like the khaki specifically. Just the same way that I like I don't give a about marathon watches, but I love that little one, like that. Oh, that is one of the best watches. I don't even remember the name of it. We'll put a photo. I love the khaki. I love the Pilot. I've owned the original versions of that.
I know.
Watch.
That's how I knew I liked it.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
So don't confuse it's Hamilton. Skip over it. I saw this watch from a distance, and I could tell that it wasn't the classic field. And for me, I was like, nah. That being said, it is interesting how. Well, first of all, I don't know why Matthew McConaughey chose to wear a watch that wasn't in production. That's neither here nor there. But it's interesting that Hamilton, as a company, understood they needed to catch up to the pop culture and kind of react to it. They should have gotten ahead of it, but they didn't. But now I'm glad.
Essentially, you have a cult classic watch that doesn't exist. It's like, you should have probably released it alongside the film.
That's very similar to like Disney didn't have Baby Yoda for sale.
Really?
Yeah. And someone like they did estimates. Who's they? But they did estimates as to like what Disney lost. I think they comped out other toy sales, and Disney lost just hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, of course. Everybody wants a Baby Yoda.
They own a Baby Yoda.
Wow.
Now they do, of course.
Yeah.
We actually have a client that purchased, I think, a several $1,000 replica of Baby Yoda. Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
He's gonna be like, it wasn't several thousand, it was 1,800.
We're like,
but yeah, it's wild. So all right, the next one is
same vein.
I don't care about.
I know you don't care. After all that with Hamilton, same vein. It's just that it's pretty notable that obviously the SKX got discontinued. Seiko did the 5 with the SKX case, and then they added a GMT. Just something interesting, anyways. I think
this watch did not have a GMT.
No.
Oh, well, that's good news.
Yeah. I think that's cool. Interesting. Yeah, $450, I think.
I do too.
Pretty surprising.
No, that's great. I mean, again, I wouldn't wear that watch. It's not my jam. But that being said, I think that's very cool. I'm glad they added a GMT to what is already a very popular and loved watch.
Yeah. This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Yes, it is. I am a living, testament to the power of Squarespace. I built my entire company through Squarespace. I have no technical savvy, and I simply had no ability. I would have had no ability to go online, to have a retail store, to have a blog platform. None of this would have happened because I physically can't do it, and I also didn't have the budget to pay an expensive developer. And frankly, even if I had the budget to pay an expensive developer,
you wouldn't.
It wouldn't have had a positive ROI because of Squarespace. All of this is possible on a very kind of tight budget. Yeah. It's amazing what Squarespace can do. They empower entrepreneurs and individuals alike to explore their world of themes and choose and then customize from there their entire web presence. Yeah. And these websites aren't just functional, but they're beautiful. I could not be more of an advocate for Squarespace. It's not just a website. I really believe it's your future. It is everything. It's your best shot, and I wouldn't be here without Squarespace. So that's just my heartfelt remark on the brand.
So if you'd like to get a website or domain, you should definitely use Squarespace, and we can sweeten the deal by going to squarespace.com/Theo Harris to save 10% off your first order.
I highly recommend you do. Tomorrow starts today.
Wow.
Squarespace.
Wow. Okay, well, first off, before we get into these very, very brief asides, someone messaged me and said, we made that video about the Rolex waitlist, and I said it's not real. He said that is the AD sussing you out, trying to see, there is a list, but they want to see how much you're actually going to spend.
Yeah, I mean, when you said there isn't... You said there isn't a list. I don't think your point was there isn't a list.
Right.
Your point was unless you are ready to spend a lot of money, you will not be on the real list of qualified buyer or of deserved, allocations. That said, the only asterisk I would put on that video would be that at least it will always be, but it is certainly now while Rolex still has mom and pop ADs.
Yes.
What we were talking about was very true and real, and you should watch the whole video.
Yes.
Because it's not a great story about Rolex ADs. But it is very true and real for a lot of very large ADs. Now, I know great stories, and honestly, particularly about our authorized dealer partner, which is London Jewelers, about people who had, a love for watches, and a spend history,
Yeah.
but not a large spend history that have gotten allocated watches that are fantastic.
Yeah.
Because the salesman felt that this person was a good home. They'd be a good custodian for this watch, that it wouldn't get flipped. So that's that's amazing. So
Yeah.
the remarks we made in the last video, which again you should watch, are very true, but they are not exclusively true, right? There are exceptions. Just good luck finding them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, we're going to get into the Titanium Twins. We're going to get into IWC's final release of a
Twins,
watch.
Basil.
We'll get into a watch that we can definitely make fun of,
Yeah.
and then we'll get into the last watch.
Yeah.
Also, I have no idea what that reference was.
That was Austin Powers.
Oh.
There you
I
are.
tried to watch it. I couldn't get
I
into
was a
it.
kid when I watched it. I would imagine.
As a kid, that would have slapped, I think. I would have
yeah,
died. Yeah. All right, so first off, the Pelagos 39, the smaller, downgraded, both in some specs, but really the new Pelagos.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a big Pelagos fan. I don't particularly, care about the black dial model.
Yes.
No disrespect to it. I think it's, it's a great watch. I just wouldn't buy a black sub either. I like the color. I can't wait till they release this in blue.
We're both
or
waiting
in
for that
green.
blue.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, really, truly.
That watch was, in my opinion, always too big. It didn't look bad, but for my wrist, it was way too big.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting discussion we had about this is now it's really just a different styled Black Bay in terms of use, where it's a very usable watch. It's titanium, which is super cool. But when it comes down to actual usage, it is not as professional as the original Pelagos.
Right.
So it's an interesting spot in the line, but obviously they nailed the release, so I think that's great.
They did.
The IWC Mark 20. Notable things here is I think it got reduced in size. Not positive about that, but we're in-house now. So we have a 120-hour movement, 120-hour power reserve, 100 meters water resistance. Doesn't matter for the in-house part, but that's still great. And then also the date moved ever so slightly because it's an in-house movement.
No, it's because the masseuse got too close to their waist. No.
Were you thinking of that?
I wasn't, but as soon as you said the date moved ever so slightly, I said, I've been there. I've been there.
Hey, we've all been the date on an IWC watch before.
Yeah, I don't particularly care about this watch. I mean, I don't particularly care, to be
It's
honest.
still always with me. IWC is just, we say this on everyone, but it's just too big. At least for us. I had a 38 millimeter for a while. That was great.
Yeah.
But 40 is still pretty large.
I
It's
mean,
a large
I
watch.
love like the blue ceramic, pilots. Those are incredible
yes.
watches.
Yeah.
They're great. I think that the desert or whatever perpetual calendar is amazing.
Yep.
I think that the IWC, the Portuguese watches are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
There are some great IWCs. I just don't particularly care for this line, these Mark, field watches.
It's an alternative
they're not
watch.
my jam.
I think it's cool, but it's definitely, there's no flash to it.
Right.
Here we go. Actually, we'll do that one. No, we'll keep the funny one for last. But the Rolex Deep Sea Challenge.
Yep.
$19,000, 50 millimeters titanium.
Yep.
Rolex's first titanium watch.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's been waiting for Rolex to introduce titanium into their collection.
Not, well, I guess not this way.
Not this
Hopefully not just that way.
I've been waiting for, and so many people have been waiting for Rolex to release a Yachtmaster, in titanium, Yachtmaster 2. Yachtmaster,
I mean, there
titanium.
was one. That's why everybody thought this was
Right,
next.
exactly. But they didn't do that. They released this, and I think that this watch is silly.
Same.
I don't like it.
Same.
I certainly don't like it at 19,000. When they released it, I actually thought it was going to be just like a cool display model, and now people are buying them. I'm like, wow.
I thought Omega. I didn't include the Omega new chronographs, by the way, like the heritage ones. Yeah. I thought it was gonna be like that. Like we made 20.
Right.
Look, it's cool, right?
Right.
Instead, it just got released, and there's pictures of people online going to 80s trying them on.
Yeah, it's a
I was
very
like,
silly
why
thing.
are you buying that?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
No, that to me, and we compared it on one of our other videos. This versus Omega's releases. This just seemed like you became a joke for a second.
I agree with that.
Next up, our favorite, the Richard Mille Up 1, the thinnest watch in the world. The thinnest watch in the world with a horse on it.
What an ugly watch.
Oh my god, this is a collaboration with Ferrari and Richard Mille. It is the thinnest watch in the world, called the Up 1 because of that.
Yeah.
I just think it's a terrible looking watch.
I think it's a terrible looking watch. I don't like it at all. They broke the record, right, which is great. I don't know if they stole it from Bulgari. Did they steal it from Bulgari?
I think Bulgari.
I wish Bulgari still had it. I guess. I mean, Bulgari will attack again. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
As will Piaget probably. I mean,
There comes a point though where you designed a watch that's thinner, but it's not cool anymore. Like,
No.
okay, well, it looks dumb.
it looks dumb.
Yeah, that's the part where it's like, eh.
Yes, I think the Bulgari ones were fantastic. I think they were
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
really
Well, when
cool.
it's the thinnest watch and it looks cool, and you
Yeah.
have to read about all the materials they use,
Yeah.
so it's structurally sound. It's fascinating. This just seemed like a
Yeah.
weird. Why did you get Ferrari? Who drives a Ferrari and has a Richard Mille and wants the thinnest watch that could look like a bracelet?
It's kind of antithetical.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, Richard Mille this is not their jam. This is not what they're famous for by any
No.
means. They'll sell all of those watches. I'm sure they're
Of course.
sold out.
Oh, yeah.
But not for me.
Finally, I don't know why I put this last. I just thought it was the most interesting one. I also feel like there was a lot of internet stir about this, trying to create hype.
And they didn't.
Yeah. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean then?
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like there's articles, there's people talking about it. Some paid, some
Mm-hmm.
not. But it felt like there was supposed to be a frenzy around the Vacheron Constantin Historique 222.
Yes.
And everyone was like, oh, nice.
Yes. I agree. I think that the 222 was released in the wake of Gerald Genta, but not
Yes.
designed by Gerald Genta.
Sure.
But it is certainly a child of that, design, language or revolution. I think what the 222 misses, and I love the 222,
Mm-hmm.
but what it misses is taper. It wears more
Yes.
like a bracelet or a cuff than it does a watch.
Especially with the corners peeking out, it frames that as like you have a little clock on your wrist instead
Yes.
of the actual watch.
It's very 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the design holds up as well as they may like. I
Yes.
do think that the current overseas, particularly the ultra thin, which you can't get, and that's
Yes.
the biggest travesty at Vacheron,
Yes.
that their ultra thin is only available in white gold and not even available at all. That is a tragedy. This watch, take it or leave it.
Okay. Anyways, best watch out of this list. Oh, I also didn't include the Rolex Starbucks, whatever it's called, with the crown on the other side.
Oh, the Sprite.
The Sprite.
Yeah, the Sprite.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't a huge. It's cool. It's cool.
Yes.
I like the green. It's cool. It's not like that wasn't a showstopper for me.
No, that was kind of to me, it felt almost like, did you run out of things to do?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's cool, but it's like, well, it had to be something else.
Yeah.
But that's it. What is your best and worst?
I mean, the worst for me is the RM. I just
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like
oh, yeah.
there were two people that you respect in a fight, and you had to butt in.
Exactly. Exactly.
You get your
That's a
ass
good way of
kicked for
saying
that
it.
shit.
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I mean? Leave us alone.
Right.
It's a good way for us both to turn on you and kick your ass.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I could see them releasing a watch in collaboration at the same measurement, and being like, mind your own business, RM.
That would be
That'd
one,
a
especially because they
great
called
marketing.
it Up One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mind your own business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an A/B conversation. You know what I mean?
I would
Like,
some random watch beef would be very
that'd
much.
be amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. So that's my least favorite. Listen. I mean, is the Moonswatch my favorite watch of the year? No, of course not. It's the Kodo. I mean, if I'm gonna go out of this list, but the Kodo was very, very important to Grand Seiko.
Right.
But the Moonswatch was
That shattered
more
everything.
important
That
to
was
the
like
world.
on the news.
Yeah.
That was obviously everybody knows about watches, but having a plastic watch be a cover story for like your local news is shocking.
I think when you look back on the modern history of watches, I think that the Moonswatch will be there.
You have a picture of all the watches, a history of time listed up here. The Moonswatch would be on that.
Yeah, you'll get, John Mayer's talking watches was a pivotal moment in watch popularity.
Yeah.
And so is this.
Oh, and well, add that in. John Mayer's Casio.
I don't care.
I think it's such a cash grab.
Yeah.
It's a cool watch, but
It's just fun.
Yeah, exactly,
It's not my
exactly.
thing.
Okay, mine very, very quickly. I'd probably say again, Up One. It's just not that cool of a watch. But my favorite, and this is in perspective of me, not really the watch world, Pelagos.
Really?
I want it in a different color. But I think the titanium is beautiful. I think the brushing on the sides is great.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a great everyday watch.
Yeah.
It's a little too boring for me to buy right now.
Yep.
But I think that's mine.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was a great release. Again,
Yeah.
at the moment, a little bit, whatever, but it's going to be great.
Yes.
that's it. Thank you guys so much for following, and subscribe, and that's it. We'll see you soon.